1945, Japan was hit by two nuclear bombs that forced Japan to surrender in the World War. The destruction was so massive that much of the two cities' infrastructure was wiped and more than 100,000 people were killed. As Japan rebuilt from the damage, it underwent a period of rapid economic growth called the Japanese economic miracle. In just 15 years, Japan managed to become the second largest economy in the world. Today, Japan remains high on the list. It is currently the fourth largest economy in the world, with $5 trillion in GDP. Their secret? It's the Japanese work ethic. In the years following World War II, American auto executives visit Toyota manufacturing plants in Japan to examine how the company was able to produce so many vehicles so quickly. They discovered a philosophy that drives its innovation, one that intrinsically motivates workers to change processes, procedures, and themselves for the better. That philosophy is known as Kaizen.
It is a philosophy that is very common in Japanese companies and has spread throughout the world.
The word Kaizen is built with two kanji characters, Kai meaning change and Zen meaning good. Together, the word Kaizen means change for the better. So every member of the Japanese company, from CEO to janitorial staff, are encouraged to continuously improve their workplace. They don't have to wait for higher-ranking officials to instruct them to do the change. For example, a manufacturing workshop worker might find that picking exactly 5 screws by hand is a waste of time. What the worker might do is to design a contraption that dispenses 5 screws with a single push of a hand. That action is called point Kaizen because it happens quickly and without much planning. There is another form of Kaizen called the system Kaizen. As you might expect, it is accomplished in an organized manner. Instead of making a change in one place in the production line, system Kaizen might change the whole line itself, though this is usually done by high-ranking employees.
It was first practiced in Japanese businesses after World War II, but a slight influence by American business teachers. Perhaps what Kaizen is most famously known for is that it is a part of the Toyota Way.
The two key areas of the Toyota Way is continuous improvement and respect for people. Kaizen is the former. It was seen as a way to remove 7 types of waste, known as muda. These are overproduction, waiting, unnecessary transport, overprocessing, excess inventory, motion, and defects. Thus, all employees that could figure out a way to decrease any of these muda are encouraged to do so, no matter their ranks.
In the workplace, all employees are empowered to innovate freely to increase their efficiency.
And indeed, the Japanese are highly efficient people. In 1962, Toyota had produced 1 million vehicles. In just a decade, this number increased to 10 million. Another reason for their extremely high productivity is their unparalleled willingness to go above and beyond for the common good. The Japanese culture is a collectivist culture. That is, they prioritize the group over their own self and do what's best for society. In the workplace, this translates to the fact that Japanese workers are more likely to work overtime.
Okay, I will start with a brief explanation about what is overtime. Overtime is when someone is working past their usual working hours. Most of the country has a working hour around 7 to 8 hours per day, including Japan. However, Japanese workers, or usually we call them as a salaryman, will usually do overtime on a daily basis. Overtime is so common in Japan, and it will be almost impossible for a worker didn't do it at least once in a month. In the 2016 government survey, found that over 25% of all Japanese companies demand 18 hours of overtime each month, which is long compared to the other country. Furthermore, most of the companies didn't even pay their workers for working overtime, and only a small amount of them pay their workers because it is socially expected for them to do it. They are also expected to have fun with their colleagues after working overtime, like karaoke or a nomikai, which is a drinking party. You can usually see Japanese salarymen having drinking parties and socializing among them past working hours. Many factors why they work so hard, and one of them is because of their loyalty to their company. One product of Japan's rapid economic development after the end of World War II was the concept of lifetime employment. Once you enter a company, you stay there until retirement. In Japan, our time is for the company. They willingly work for an extra hour when they can take a rest after their usual working hours. In this context, working long hours was showing a high degree of identification with the company, as well as a gesture of their gratitude for the company. Other than that, the Japanese company seems to value hard work more than efficiency. While the typical Western company focuses on only results, in Japan, it's also the struggle that matters. From a traditional point of view, if you don't struggle, which means you're not doing enough. Of course, that doesn't mean that Japanese companies don't value efficient work. But an old-fashioned manager will probably see it like this. If you can work efficiently, you are able to work even more. Thus, if you're not doing overtime, you are not giving your best. There is many other factors, but these two is the most common factors why would they work so hard.
Japanese workers are famous for their inexhaustible dedication to their tasks and ability to work long hours. For average Japanese, their workday is around 12 to 14 hours. The exhaustive work culture is so common that they have a specific term for the death from overwork known as karashi. Let's look at its generality. There is a national karashi hotline, a karashi self-help book, a karashi law that provides financial help to the widow and the children of a person who died from karashi. You'll find that many employees at Japanese companies have work-first philosophy and will often prioritize their time at the workplace over friends and family. This has its roots in the period of rapid economic growth when people would work long hours day on end with almost no time to sleep. The work-first philosophy esteems working overtime or on holidays as a virtue and has long been deeply ingrained in Japan's working culture. As Japan is known for its work ethic, however, this has started to change in recent years. More people, especially the younger generation, are starting to put their personal life before work. In a survey conducted by the Japanese government in 2017, over 60% of people between the age of 16 and 29 said that they prioritize their family or personal life over work. As work-life balance replaced the office as the more important factor in many people's lives, the government has also started promoting work-style reform in an attempt to reduce the overworking of company employees. Japanese workers devoting themselves to working massively long hours for their employers might be becoming a thing of the past. Nearly half of the newly employed people said that they would leave their office when their work was done, even if their supervisors or colleagues were working overtime, according to a survey.
In Japan, employees' position and pay is determined by seniority through a system called Nenkaujutsu system, which is a principle that permits Japanese corporate culture. So the new employees are paid a standard basic wage at the beginning, but then the pay will increase as the year of service increase. The nine-culture system encourages the Japanese to work and to continue working in their current company rather than joining a new company and start from the bottom with a lower salary. As time passed by, the globally recognized merit-based system has been adopted in most companies in Japan.
In Japan, you will be seen as a workaholic if you work overtime, but in Malaysia, it differs a lot from Japanese working ethics. Working overtime is considered a poor time management. Furthermore, only a small amount of Japanese companies pay their workers for working overtime, while in Malaysia, you will surely be paid when working overtime. In Japan, usually you are not allowed to make noise, including talking to your workmate in a high voices. They will usually talk in a low voice to prevent interrupting others working in the office. This is different in Malaysia because talking in normal tone with a workmate is a common thing and will not be a problem for others. We always see women empowerment about leadership and etc. Japan is also not excluded by taking initiative to have 30% of women in leadership. However, most of the women that have been added to the workforce are working in these relatively low-paid part-time jobs, thus making it different with Malaysia where women and men get equal rights in the working department. The Japanese bonding is formal and organized, while Malaysian bonding is informal and easygoing. In Japan, they have regular night parties for the company where normally it is drinking party where colleagues drink together after work. If you are younger, you will serve the seniors, while if you are in a lower position, you attend to make yourself look good in front of everyone so that you will get better recognition. For Malaysians, if we want to lepak, we just go lepak. It is much easier to get along with colleagues here because Japan is more sensitive about hierarchy than Malaysia.
I think we really should include Kaizen in Malaysian workplaces. If you look closely, the Malaysian culture doesn't have the same feeling of loyalty to the company or employer that they work for compared to the Japanese. And because of this, we only do what's inside our job description. Improving the workplace is only done by top management. If everyone is involved from the top to the bottom of the career ladder, I think the level of productivity and quality of Malaysian workplaces should improve greatly.
And also, as a leader in a team, we cannot expect our teammates to work as a working machine. We are all humans after all. Instead, support and guide them through the work that was given to them.
Okay, for me, the way elderly ones should apologize for their own mistakes, no matter who is in the front. Not all elderly people have more knowledge, and the young ones should not be limited to contribute in their works, given that they have the expertise in doing that job. Just because someone is younger, it doesn't mean that they cannot do anything. So the elderly should accept at ease that if their young colleague can do much better to increase their productivity and quality of the company.
Japan is well known for their punctuality culture. So, I think we should try to become more punctual like them little by little, because when you are late, you already wasted precious time. Time is gold and we should value it. Furthermore, our reputation will also increase, thus making others respect us more. I also believe we can achieve greater success in the future if we always be punctual in our daily life.
But the most important is to take action from now on.
It all starts from us, ourselves. Small changes or action matters.
Imagine all the things that we can achieve if thousands or even millions of us put our mind into making our country
a better place.
to live in.